So I've talked about having a nursery lots of times in the past, and this is a really great example of how simple a nursery can be. These are just some little pots and some of like our canned beans and stuff like that. I just save the cans and I put soil in them and plant stuff in there, and they become the starts, like this pumpkin right here, to all of our plants that we grow in our garden. Things like lettuces and pretty much most things, especially when you're really relying on it to eat, you want to start them in a safe container, not in direct light, where you can kind of baby it. These are your babies, and if you're going to live off this stuff, they really have to be taken care of, and you have to make sure that they really produce for you. So I put them over here out of the sunlight, out of the direct sunlight. They get maybe a couple hours of sunlight a day, but I'm making sure that I'm watering this every day, sometimes twice a day if it's really hot. This is literally this is our food source. So it's super important, but it doesn't have to look like anything. We obviously have the trays and stuff that we do on our farm and stuff, but this is our home garden, and so we just have like our pots. Some of them are nice. We're starting all of our fall stuff here, like our broccoli, our cauliflower, our Brussels, all of our winter squash, some of our herbs. So it's always great to have something like this. And if you have a greenhouse, you can do all this in your greenhouse. You can do it vertically on racks or whatever, and a whole bunch more. Make sure that thing's facing south so you're getting all that light during the winter. And if there's trees and stuff, you need to trim those, make some light. But this will help you out immensely, not just putting seeds directly in the ground, but starting off on a little pot, maybe even taking them from a little pot, and then once they're big and exploding out of the pot, putting them in maybe even a little bit bigger pot for like your pumpkins and stuff like that, and then putting them in the ground. And when they're going in the ground, making sure they're getting the proper watering, and you're just taking care of them all the way through. If you're doing it for fun, it doesn't matter, that's great, but when it's your food source, you really need to be a little more methodical about how you're doing things, and a little more, keep your eye on it a little bit more. And that's something that's gotten away with us in the past, but right now we're doing really well. We've got, anytime that something's running out like this, these got eaten today, that's okay, but we're planting something in here in the morning, and we're just going to keep that cycle going on so that we've always got food. If you want to have food all the time, you have to always be planting. That's how it works. So I think that you need to always be planting, and as things are coming out, things are going in, and which means that you've already started them previously. So I'm not putting things in the ground for 4 to sometimes 12 or 16 weeks later, depending on how many times so like, for example, my herbs are going to take about 8 weeks, so 2 months, before I take them from the little pot that they're in and put them in the ground. They have to be a few inches tall and sturdy before I'm going to do that. And things like our pumpkins, that might be as long as 3 months, where I'm starting it off in a small container, putting it in a bigger container, and then eventually, once it's 2 to 3 feet long, putting them in the ground, because in the past, that's the way that we've had the best luck preventing squirrels and stuff like that from going. Creating a little fence or something around your garden is also another great thing to do. It's just going to kind of prevent things. If you've got a lot of gophers and stuff, maybe do some chain link in the bottom of your beds, or even, a finer mesh in the bottom of your beds that they can't get through, and then put the raised beds down so that they can't bite through that. We're talking about a reliable food source, so it's really important that everything that we're putting in is making it, and that we've got a system where before we're even close to harvesting, we've got things that are going in, and then also things in the pipeline backed up. So when I'm thinking about planting, I've got something in the ground, I've got something in a tray that's ready to go in the ground, and I've got something that I'm seeding. So I've got at least three layers, sometimes more, of process. So by the time this is ready to harvest, I've already got something ready to go in the ground, and I've already got something that's halfway ready to go in the ground as well, and maybe even a few backups that I'm starting to seed. I live in San Diego, so I can pretty much do all crops all the time, with the exception of a couple really specific heat-loving crops, light-loving crops, and photosensitive crops. But yeah, this is our kind of our little backyard nursery. It's kind of pretty, and this is as small or as little as you need. You can even do your full garden like this. So it's pretty cool, and you know, just a couple raised beds and a couple pots can get you a lot further than no pots and no raised bed.